Hey everyone, welcome back to Northman Reviews, and we're looking at Factor X from the Age of Apocalypse. This was the comic that got turned from X Factor. Now it's Factor X. I mean, some of these titles, like, they're not really thinking outside of the box, but it's fine. You don't want to make it too different from the X titles, or people may not be picking it up. But I wasn't actually originally going to do this and a couple of others because I didn't have all of the issues, but I think I have a way to get them. So you should be seeing X-Man and Excalibur coming up soon. But I had this issue of Factor X with me for a long time when I was growing up, and I've always kind of liked it. And I'm excited to actually get to read through the next 3 issues because I haven't really looked into them. But I like this concept. I mean, you got the X-Men, amazing and astonishing X-Men, and that shows what the X-Men are up to. And then you got Generation Next with the young mutants. You got Wolverine. What else do we got? Gambit and the Externals, and a different kind of ragtag team. Then you got Nightcrawler and Excalibur, and X-Man and X-Man. But this, like, those are all X-Men and doing, like, trying to do good things, trying to save the world. And this is a look into, like, the villain side of Age of Apocalypse. So you got Cyclops here, Havok, Beast, and Aurora and North Star from Alpha Flight. And, I mean, as we go along, you can't just... I mean, there's ways to do shows or stories that are just entirely focused on villains, like the Joker or something. Can't think of any else that really ring to mind. But for the most time, you have to have someone that you're kind of rooting for, and that ends up being Cyclops here, as it should be, kind of the main character. We'll get into it, but yeah, he is a villain. He's on the side of Apocalypse here, but throughout this story, you see that he kind of slowly turns good, I guess. I don't know. So, I mean, Cyclops, he's got long hair. He's only got one eye because Wolverine slashed out the other one. So that's kind of a cool connection between those two. So let's jump on in. Again, we got this weird Citadel thing. Tales from the Crypt, man. This Demon Knight. That was always kind of a fun movie. I keep thinking about this every time I open these comics. See this ad. Anyways, New York, you got Apocalypse Citadel. I mean, you can see how fucking huge this thing is. Like, look at these cities. Look at these buildings. These are probably supposed to be skyscrapers. Maybe not the size of the Twin Towers at the time, but these are fucking huge-ass things. So you probably have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people living inside this thing as it goes up and up and up. So that's kind of a cool thing. So we open up, and there's some people running here, and these are Morlocks, and this is Callisto, and let's see, they broke out of the pens, and they're trying to just get away from this. So, even though mutants have taken over, it's still a survival of the fittest, and some of the weaker mutants are not doing great. Just want to point out this comic, if you can tell, it's all kind of warped and ugly. This was a casualty of the Great Flood that I've talked about, where I lived in a basement room as a kid, and my mom watered her garden, left the hose running, and it flooded the basement. And I had these comics in boxes on the floor. Happened twice until I got wise enough to put them in better boxes and off the floor. But, I was a kid. Whatever. Shut up. Fuck you. So, anyways. So, Morlocks are running, and then they're being chased down by, I don't know, like, this team. They're not called, like, Factor X. Do they call them anything here? I don't know. So there's Cyclops. He's all, look at me, I'm Cyclops. I'm on a motorcycle. Yeah, me too, bro. They make Cyclops heroic. They make Havok a fucking douche, man. He is just an asshole, like, villainous to the core. As are Aurora and North Star here. As we get going, what we'll see too is a lot of this team that they focus on, because there's 4 more that we're going to see, they're all siblings, like they're sets of siblings. 2 brothers, twins here, and we'll see some of the others. So talks about Artemis. Who's Artemis? That's supposed to be Callisto. Oh, they sent the elite, so they're the elites. So, okay. Writers, John Francis Moore. I'm not really too familiar with him. And Steve Epting is the penciler with Al Milgrom inker. So, Steve Epting, I know that name. I don't know what... He's probably done a lot. He probably has done more than even I am aware of. He's a very competent artist. I kind of feel like my style is reminiscent of his now that I'm looking at it. Not intentionally, not even subconsciously. It's not like I read a lot, but there's been several books of his that he's done. And he's always been pretty good, but he's never like really stood out to me like a Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, Joe Madureira, even on the level of Andy or Adam Kubert within the Marvel family. But he's always been a good artist, and I wonder what he's up to today. So, the elites, these guys show up. I kind of like this border break here with this like crazy huge pipe, and that's when you can tell when an artist is really good. Like there's the cool splash pages and the dynamic poses or whatever, but when they go in and take the time for these backgrounds and details of whatever, these pipes, like if this wasn't here, would it really matter? If you ask Rob Liefeld, he'd say no. But I think it kind of makes this stand out, and that's when you know, like, he may not get paid as much as Rob Liefeld, but you can tell the difference in the level of skill. Let's jump off the Rob Liefeld shit bandwagon for now. So, anyways, Cyclops, he takes the, he takes the first shot. It's kind of a cool shot from his eye. Knocks off this guy, and someone's narrating, and I think it turns out to be Mr. Sinister. And who else we got here? So this is Pyro, and it's like he's being burnt. Like he's using his powers, but it's burning him. He's like all hurt. That's kind of an interesting thing with him. I don't know. There's something about this picture and breaking the border there that I really like. This head contraption to Cyclops is kind of cool. So they take out Havok's motorcycle. He gets pissed off. Shoots at him, knocks his ass down. There's Toad. So it's not just the Morlocks. Like, this is like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, basically. But here, the heroes are the villains. Yeah, man, I don't know what it is about this artist, man. But the more I look at him, the more I'm reminded of my own art. For good or ill. I mean, I wouldn't mind being compared to him, and maybe that's just me. Whatever. But anyways, so Toad here, and North Star comes down, like backhand him like John McEnroe. Aurora comes in, and I don't know who this bald-headed woman is. But they're like, they want to get away because I guess Beast has been like experimenting on them, torturing them. They just like want to get away. They're like, doesn't even matter. Like, doesn't even if they die matter if they die. So Aurora here, she's being a badass. She's as corrupt as her twin. It says here. They keep calling her Artemis. I don't know of an Artemis in Marvel Comics, or I know Artemis in Greek mythology and Wonder Woman, but I mean that's Callisto, right? It's Callisto. Am I missing something? So anyways, she runs off. Cyclops is following her. Cool kick to the fucking face. Nice cool action sequence as they're fighting. He pulls her down. And you can see Cyclops is not as ruthless as the others. Cool shading here. I really like this. The more I look at this guy's art, the more I like it. Maybe that's why. And, whatever. He doesn't want to have to hurt her. But she's like, oh, your concern touches me, but there's no place for compassion in this post-apocalyptic America. And as they're talking, she kind of takes the opportunity to get this knife. She's going to knife his ass, shank him, but in steps Havok. So much for the Morlock. And, Cyclops is pissed. You didn't have to kill her. I had things under control. And he's like, who cares? She was just a rabbit. Like, they're just, like, beneath these guys. And he says, you're cold. So you're already establishing the difference in personalities of, like, the more ruthless ones and Cyclops, who has more, a bit more compassion. This is kind of a weird picture. It doesn't quite work for me. I don't know what it is about the head placement, but, all that looks cool in the hand and him tossing this blade. But there's something about this that's just not right. Cool down shot, though. I like this shot of Cyclops. All right, so looks like instead of Statue of Liberty, there's a Statue of Apocalypse. That makes sense. And again, someone narrating, and it goes closer in on the eyes, and you can see the interior, and here's Mr. Sinister. Now, Mr. Sinister is a horseman of Apocalypse, and you can tell, like, when Apocalypse has his pick of the litter, he has chosen not only the most ruthless and smart, but most powerful mutants as his horsemen. So it talks a lot about Sinister. But in this version, Sinister is not as evil as he has been depicted in the Marvel comics, in the regular comics, especially like X-Men 97 and all that shit. He's still a scientist, he's still evil, he's still a genius, but he's kind of out for himself. He still wants to, like, work on mutants and study them and experiment on them. But in this world, he's also the father of Cyclops and Havok. Not the biological father, for sure, but he probably just adopted them, and they think of him as the father. But he's also kind of talking here. You will hate me for deserting you like your biological father, but know this, Scott Summers, without you, I'm about to attempt would never have been possible. I'm not sure what he's doing. I know he leaves, and that's been talked about in other books. Maybe, I think he's already left. I think it happened in X-Men Alpha, so I'm not, like, skipping anything. But people don't know where Sinister is, from my understanding. All right, so we go back, and there's let's see, still more narration by Mr. Sinister. In the pens, which was where those, the Morlocks and whoever were trying to run away from, they have a genetic stockpile of human and mutant alike from which I can spin genetic straw into gold. So Sinister will probably do an experiment with the help of Beast. And it looks like there's a riot going on here. And so, people are rebelling, and 2 more mutants show up to kind of take care of them. Now, this is Sam Guthrie, Cannonball, and his sister Elizabeth. I'm not really sure about who she is. I don't know if she was ever introduced in the main Prime universe, but it looks like it is here. But these guys are assholes too, and she's kind of can grow big. Look how big she is compared to these guys. It talks about the teenage Amazon whose megamorphic abilities allow her to increase her size and mass. Cool. And Cannonball, whose anger channels into explosive and propulsive energy. And then he's like, it sucks that I couldn't get their younger sister, who's Paige Guthrie, and she's over in Generation Next. So they're kind of putting this rebellion down. Havok and Cyclops show up, and Cyclops kind of grilling him, like, you don't have to be a dick. You don't have to be cruel. Especially with, like, they're negotiating with the Human High Council, like, let's keep everything just like copacetic. And Cannonball's being a dick. He's like, hey, I don't care about humans. But Cyclops gets in his face, like, hey, you fucking listen to me, you little shit face. And looks like these guys work, like, directly underneath Havok. And Cannonball's like, hey, do I have to take that from him? And he's like, yeah. Sinister made him head of the EMF. I don't know what EMF stands for. Did I miss that? He outranks us all for now. Have it so you can already see, like, what's going on personality-wise and where the story's going. So we go and visit Beast, Henry McCoy. Now he's about as evil as they come in this fucking universe. There's, like, no moral good side to him. He is just he's a brilliant scientist, and he is fucking up people right and left. I'm glad I've been reading these more or less in the proper order. I mean, these are all number one issues, but now they're talking about how Beast had to do surgery on Alex and get some mechanical pieces out of him when he got teleported through while being held onto with a sentinel hand. So there's like shrapnel inside him. So they kind of mentioned that there. He's got some fucking people up here on chains, and he's like lowering them in. And he's trying to make infinites, basically foot soldiers. And how can he do that without experimenting more and more on people? He's talking about what happens. He lowers them into a gene pool, and they're broken down to basic protoplasmic soup. Ugh, that's right. Grow up, prelate. Nobody promised science would be pretty. From the genetic gumbo, I can manipulate nucleotide sequences, creating a patchwork protein of mutant DNA that becomes the organic foundation of my infinites. So yeah, Beast makes the infinites and tries to make them better from whatever science shit he's doing here. And he's like, why are you here? And he's talking about Havok's talking about Cyclops and how he's been preoccupied, his reflexes are dulled, his judgment impaired. He's like, change is inevitable as a scientist, and he says like, I don't care who's in charge, I just care who's going to allow me to continue my work. And he's like, remember that Sinister holds your brother in high regard. He'll not lightly overlook a fratricide. What is fratricide? I should look that up. I mean, is it a killing of a family member? Basically, he's like, yeah, do what you got to do, but be careful. Like, Sinister will be mad if your family killing. So then we go to Cyclops walking through, and there's these the Bedlam brothers. These two guys come crashing through. These are also on like soldiers for Apocalypse, directly underneath Cyclops. Now these two guys, again, I don't know who they are in the Prime universe, but they're brothers here, and they're nicer guys than the rest. So that's why Cyclops is kind of gravitated towards them, and they like him. But as you can see, there's all sorts of like sets of siblings. These two are brothers. The twins on the cover, these two are family. And then Cyclops and Havok, obviously. But these guys are still mutants, and they're still like, hey, like, we like our positions, and we like what's going on here. But, you tell us what to do. So Cyclops is going on. He wants to see Sinister. No, Sinister hasn't left yet. I'm confused about the timeline. I swear this happened in X-Men Alpha. Anyways, he wants to see Sinister. He's talking to some weird brain thing here. That's kind of a cool concept. Cool. Still cool drawings. Kind of basic, but tells the story, Not a lot of flash. Flash when it needs to. But he can't get in and see Sinister. Sinister's not allowing him in. And he's basically saying, the last time we spoke, I was telling you goodbye, but he's talking to himself, but he can say it out loud. So now we go over to what's called is Heaven. It's a nightclub, and it's run by Angel, Warren Worthington. And we saw this in X-Men Alpha. It's just a place for everyone to go to, just to relax. No fighting, as far as I can tell. And Havok's there, and he's talking to Angel about, hey, I was told the Cajun Trader was here, which did happen in X-Men Alpha. Gambit spoke to Angel, who got Gambit in touch with Magneto, and now they're doing all their stuff in the externals to steal the M'Kraan crystal. Lots of stories going back and forth. But people don't, like, Worthington, Angel here is like playing it cool, like, hey, I don't really know what you're talking about. Anyone who can pay is welcome, you know that. They're like, well, that sucks. I'd hate to have to shut you down. This is last decent place to get a drink. And they're like, yeah, that's cool, but I don't think it's the alcohol that keeps you coming back. And then there's this shot of this woman, the lovely Scarlett Mackenzie, who I don't really know who is this anybody in the main universe. I'm not really sure. A redhead, but she's a human, and she's like a I don't know a fucking Jessica Rabbit version. You know, this guy's playing piano, she's singing, she's hot. Everyone's kind of like in love with her, including Havok, it seems. And out of nowhere, like ka-chow, 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 barely misses her, and this fucking dipshit barges in, and this is Henry Gyrick. He's still a mutant, and he's kind of just being a mutant. He's being a terrorist against the mutants. He's like, humanity will never bow down, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you let Gyrick in? Don't you have a dress code? He's like, don't blame me. And these two guys are like, how about we step in and, take care of this guy? So whatever happens, whatever powers they have, I don't even know. They take care of him, So just kind of showing what Gyrick was doing, that humans are still trying to fight back, and that these guys, are capable young men. So they take him away, these two security dudes. And Scarlet is there, here, like, give a round of applause for the Bedlam brothers, and they're all about it. And they're like, so it'd be a fool to try and follow that act. I'll simply say goodnight. She's like, I can't, they saved the day. Everyone loves them. I'm just going to, leave. So she goes walking away. Let's see. On stage, the singer appears open and intimate with her audience, but off stage, she's lives a life of secrecy, which can be seductive, but can also prove deadly. So she's walking in. I like these pictures, like the shadow and shading and these small pictures here, one by one. And then I like the color change, so they're in the dark, and there's Havok, and he grabs her, and he just pulls in, and they start making out. And that's kind of a big no-no, like weird, racist superiority. Like, hey, this woman is beneath me, but I still find her attractive, and I'm still going to do things with her, whether it's love or just lust. I don't know. But, if anyone accused Havok of doing this, he'd fucking flip his shit. All right, so learning about the characters, world building, and all that. So he calls everyone in. Cyclops does. Havok, and see, these guys kind of insinuate that Havok was with her, and he gets fucking pissed. Like, what are you implying? That I'm involved with the flat scan? These guys are gonna throw down. Cyclops tells her, like, we have a real problem, follow me. And he's like, I can't get a hold of Sinister. I don't know where he is. I don't know what's going on. And he's like, he wants this guy to bypass the gatekeeper. And he's like, I'll take responsibility. So he does that with this weird brain thing. Door opens, going into Sinister's private chambers, and they can see that it's just, trashed. And they're like, who could have done this? Magneto? And Cyclops knows, like, Sinister did this himself. Everything makes sense now. He's openly disagreed with Apocalypse, and he's abandoned us. And these guys are like, oh, since Sinister's gone in this area, like, you're in charge. You're next in charge, And he's like, that's right, I am. And Havok, being the little fucking douchebag that he is, like, not if I have anything to do about it. But I don't know where they are. If they're in the statue here, or if they're somewhere else. Because anyway, the statue, there's an auto-destruct sequence, and it blows the head off the statue. That's where Sinister was. But I don't think that's where these guys are now. When Cyclops was here earlier, it must have been like a video recording or something. Kind of unclear. Also, kind of doesn't matter. Yeah, it looks like it was a video recording. So, and then that's the end. Next is a desperate fight for survival ensues for the prisoners of the breeding pen as brother turns against brother in a world gone mad. So there it is, Factor X. This is actually kind of a cool storyline. I'm kind of digging it, and I'm excited to keep looking through them. I know I haven't read issues 2, 3, and 4 much. I have read them, but it's been a while, so these others I had, and I looked through them so many times as a kid, but I only had this one issue. So I'll be excited to keep going with this. So what do you think about this issue? What's your favorite Age of Apocalypse storyline or comic book so far, whether it's me going through them or what you read as a kid? Let me know in the comments. Give the video a like, and as always, I will see you in the next video.